You're listening to For Better and Worse with Jess and Rach.
Hello.
Welcome.
Welcome to the podcast that Rach and I have created.
We have created. Here's one of our problems I think that we had with doing season 1 and season 2.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what episode number we're on.
Me either. I think
It's a real oversight.
it's not consistent over the boards either, I don't think.
No, absolutely not.
Like on Spotify versus YouTube.
Oh, yeah. I mean, YouTube, we didn't do everyone on YouTube. The first, I think 8 episodes or something, we were like, hey, we're just trying to figure this out. We don't want to figure YouTube
Bear
out.
with us.
Hey, hang in there.
YouTube commune, rise up.
The YouTube community has been through it, and we got to say that.
Yeah, but we're thankful you're still hanging with.
Yeah. Because I agree. I started watching some podcast episodes on YouTube. Just if I really want to
I
listen,
love a
but
visual.
also it's very nice. And if I see clips from a podcast, like I follow like Glennon Doyle's podcast or Brene Brown's podcast, and if I see clips from it like on Instagram after I've already listened to it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this feels different.
It does.
Seeing you talk to each other and smile while the other, it's just, I get it. I get the appeal.
I definitely get it. And if I am listening to an episode, I will look up 100% what you look like. I already am doing research on what you look like.
Yes.
Just so if I'm listening in the car and I don't have the YouTube accessible,
Yes.
I can just picture it in my head.
Yes.
By the way, I did listen to that Glennon episode that you posted.
I was about to plug it in. I was just going to be like, everybody's got to listen to that.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So
have you listened to the second part of it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I guess for people who didn't know, Rach posted that, and
Yeah.
then I listened. It's not something that I posted, and then
But
wow,
I just felt like this hit like the episode with Liz Gilbert, who is the author of Eat, Pray, Love. I just felt like it ticks so many boxes. And it's rare to find a podcast episode, especially like a mental health podcast episode, that it's like, oh, I think everyone should listen to this. And I just felt like, there was just there's talks of addiction and grief and divorce and coming out. And I was just like, this scratches the itch for me.
yeah,
Emotionally.
I found it really interesting too that she had a similar story that Glennon does to Abby, as Liz did to Rhea. Yeah. It was just really cool. It's like someone who was her best friend was just like, you know what? I'm freaking in love with you.
Yeah. Didn't realize
but
this.
it was just really cool that her whole story, and like you said, going through all the things, grief, addiction.
Yeah.
I mean, I was plugged in, dialed into the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it really takes a lot, but I do love all of them. So
Yeah. That's
she's
my
just
I'll go on. That's my hot girl walk. I know you're supposed to listen to music on hot girl walks, but I'll go for a hot girl walk and listen.
I
to
listened during
We Can
my
Do
hot
Hard
girl
Things.
walk with my dogs.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've been navigating walking and jogging with 2 dogs, so it has been.
Do you have it around the waist?
I have. So I was just doing Barley around the waist because she knows the deal, and I was having Cores on the leash. I did try both of them on, but it's hard because it's hard.
I know.
And Cores, I think a hard thing about dog training is we've got them down pretty well in our house, but it's when you bring them outside the house, you're like, why are you doing that?
All rules out the door for them.
Yes.
It only makes sense in their small area. I know.
So we have to do more callback stuff with him because it's you can't just be jumping. I'm talking leaping.
Yeah.
Leaping. We'll be running by someone will be with a mower, and then he'll just turn around and jump for joy, basically.
Yeah, look here.
And I'm
looky
hey,
here.
Hey. Because Barley's got the look at me. Everybody would make fun of me when I got Barley, and that was the first thing I taught her. Look at me. Everybody would be like, hey, Barley, look at me. I'm like, hey, it's worked. She's a goddamn angel.
Whatever works.
Whatever
Nobody's
works.
judging your dog mom abilities.
Okay, something I thought about last night as I was scrolling Facebook, and I came across.
Wait, pause. Facebook?
Okay, here's the deal.
Who is still scrolling Facebook? Rise up. Raise your hand
People
right now.
who run out of time on their other apps, Jess.
And I wanted to do a social media episode, but
Hey, no, I'm not ready for that yet. We're coming out of a deep depression.
Okay.
But
Is it something you don't want to hear?
No. So this is one of my toxic traits that I've found out.
Lay it on me.
I will look at every single GoFundMe. Never donate. Never.
What's wrong with you?
I read the updates. I read everything.
Like, because you want to know about what's going on with other people's tragedies?
Yeah. You could say I get off on it.
I guess.
It scratches the itch, man.
That is funny. I guess Facebook is the place to go.
I guess it's a real life tragedy. Somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody knows this person.
And they got in a tragic accident.
And it's close to home.
That is funny. Like, is there a feed on GoFundMe that you can just peruse through?
Oh my God.
Like Venmo. You know how Venmo, you could just see what other people are doing?
I hope there is.
Like all the GoFundMes in the world and all the tragedies that they need money raised for?
Yeah. Love it. But also, if someone just throws a Venmo tag my way, their thing, I'll send you money on Venmo, but don't ask me to fill out a form on GoFundMe.
Also, what are husband and wife doing Venmo back and forth to each other? What are you guys doing?
When people Venmo back and forth, husband and wife, can we talk about something like you Venmo each other for food?
Flag on the play.
Whoa.
Flag on the play. What are you guys doing? Hey, I'm not here to judge how you guys handle your money. I get it, but also at the same time, for Chipotle?
Right.
Or is that code for Chipotle?
What else could it be?
I don't know. Bill? I don't know.
Bills? Oh, yeah. Josh and I have a shared bank account now.
Before marriage.
Hey, we have a house.
That's true.
That's what that's from. Our house account.
Yeah.
Which we both put money into.
Mm-hmm.
Him a little more than me because this bitch has a wedding to pay for.
Yes.
So he's taking the bulk of, I throw a little bit of, couple hundos in there when I can.
Just sporadically, like, here you go. Let me add to the pot.
Yep.
When I can. Yeah. But I guess that comes with our job too. It's like, we don't have that steady same amount every 2 weeks, you know?
Right.
It just ebbs and flows as it does.
Yeah.
And somehow we come out on top.
Yeah. And I said we'd I think I might do a full wedding breakdown cost episode after the wedding because I could give it to you now, but it's not going to be accurate because there's always shit that rises up the week of the wedding. You know, it's like random Amazon purchases.
For sure.
Like, so I want to do that. But I will fill you guys in that I did break down and I did ask my dad for money.
No shame in the
I
game.
said, hey, he asked many times if I needed help, but he helped us. Like, he gifted us with money for our house, and I just felt like, I'm an adult. I can do this. But, hey.
If he's willing, and then also if it doesn't come with any stipulations, which we will get to in this episode.
Yeah.
Being it as parents.
Navigating parents and wedding planning.
But, I mean, there's no shame in that. Like I said, like, if he's willing, if he's already offered, and all you had to do was just reach out to him again.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that. Parents want to help. Yes.
And my dad definitely likes the providing for me and my sister and knowing we're taken care of. And
absolutely.
I was crunching some numbies and I was like, hey, I still haven't, my accountant made a grave error and it was giving me an extension on my taxes. I said, you don't want to do that because now it's at the back of my mind.
It's all right.
It's on the list. It's on some list somewhere for me to get down to it.
Fuck taxes. Like a big middle finger to taxes for the self-employed.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Like I have money saved up for it, but
yeah, because
I've been doing this for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
You know?
You're right.
Yeah, and I always just like I always throw more money in than I think because it's like then that's your little tax return. That's how I treat it. It's like when I put away a lot of money for taxes and I like don't spend all of it, that's my tax return. So I have $9,000 put away for my tax account. If I only owe $6,000, I got a $3,000 tax return.
Oh,
it's a little treat,
aka it's straight to your wedding.
Yep, it's a little treat. That's also why I need to do my taxes because I got to know how much treats I have,
how many treats that I can spend.
Ooh.
Yeah, man, fuck it. Fuck being self-employed.
Yeah, it's for the birds. For the birds.
Yeah. Anywho,
Jess, you might know more about this, but there was some full moonage.
Yes.
Did you feel like the world was awry with energy?
To be specific, it was the superflower blood moon. And it happened over the weekend. And if you're anything like me, you were feeling the tension. You were feeling overwhelmed, feeling down. Could be just the weight on you is heavy.
Did it affect certain signs more than other signs? Is that how some of this works?
I didn't get that far into my research about it because something was happening. I've also been
Josh's energy was off, so I wonder if it was affecting the Aquarii.
I wonder if it's just everyone.
Okay.
There probably are some affected more than others, but to tell you what, the Virgos rise up. It hit us hard.
Yeah.
I could attest to that. But anyways, feelings of heightened emotions and tension were in the air. And that is fine because it should be subsiding now that the lunar eclipse has passed. And I guess it's like called the flower moon because of spring, I guess is what they called it. The blood comes from the color that it produced when it was happening. But
did you watch the eclipse?
I did not.
My dad texted me when it was happening, and I was
love
in bed.
him. He's the biggest nature guy I know.
He's big into nature.
He's a published author.
He is.
I know. I love that.
Award
big bird
winning.
guy. Award. He's here
winning.
to win some type of award. Anyways, it's over. You should be feeling a little lighter now. I guess the eclipse is a signal of marking major changes.
Jeez.
And it should be bringing us growth and transformation.
We love to see it.
We love to see it. We are hoping for it. Yeah, that with mixed with yoga for me, really just opened the floodgates of emotion. So I've been having a lot of heavy
will get
days.
you down bad.
I'm telling you, yesterday I was absolutely down bad. I can't tell you the last time I cried that much in a day, and I went to yoga in the morning, major hip openers, and if you're a yogi, you know that something is done in every class, but this was like the main focus. And then I remember
was it like a yin class?
No, it was a slow flow.
Oh.
And it was good. The teacher was I love her. Her name's Sally. She's at Inner Bliss. But I think she was just like, if you're feeling something come up right now, just let it out. I'm like, okay, seriously, don't antagonize it because it's at my throat and it's about to come out. Anywho, major hip openers, major emotional release. So I'm hoping to transform here into.
Can't wait to see it.
The lunar eclipse is going to bring me growth.
I want to see more of your flower blood moon, and I want to see that more of that out of you.
We're hoping for it. But if you felt that way, you're not alone. The moon affects mood, and if you don't believe it, spend a week in an autism center for any type of full moon. You'll see it. So
or schools or
anything that requires like a large group of people, you'll be able to see.
It is very actually
and trying to control them and kind of observing moods. It's wild. So
I'm not woo woo enough for it, but I just I believe it. Like it's a fact. Like it does. It just is a fact. It just
scientific at this point.
Like I can't get into it, but I agree.
Yeah,
I concur.
Yeah, well, you're not alone out there, guys. Transformation and growth are in the future.
Yeah, it's hard out here for a shrimp. So
it's hard out here for a shrimp, and I'm the shrimp. I love that saying.
I mean, I can't believe I've never said it before. Laura says it all the time.
It's so funny,
but I think it's the play on. It's hard out here for a pimp.
Oh, I never made that connection.
Isn't that a song or a line in a song?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think that's what it's from.
So you guys just said shrimp because
it's. I don't think we can relate to being pimps. Oh, not that we can relate to being shrimps, but scooter.
I just love that you said it's hard out here for a shrimp.
Hard out here for a shrimp.
You said it today.
I know. It's in my mind. Laura, you're on my mind, girl.
What's up with you, Rach? Anything new? Anything new to report? Anything funny happen?
Anything funny? Well, Jess left her Marco Polo on for like 5 to 10 minutes.
Wait.
She was Marco Poloing me and Madison and accidentally, like, instead of pressing off, she like double clicked it. So she turned it off, then turned it right back on, put it in her pocket. So we got to hear some unfiltered conversations between her and Joe. And when I say the longest piss I've ever heard in my life.
You heard. Okay, if you watch the whole polo, it's me getting out of the car. Joe's coming to greet me. And I'm like, I have to pee. I think it's the first thing I say.
Yeah.
Like, I had to go.
Yeah.
And I was doing better about drinking water on this hot wedding day.
Very
because I'm like,
good.
I'm not waking up with a wedding hangover. I 100% am going to be ready for this. So I drank shit ton of water. Just to preface. And I'm like, I have to pee. Joe has this spread of a table. This was not shown because the phone was in my fanny pack. Yeah.
Oh.
Joe has like wine and pasta and garlic bread spread, fresh flowers on the table. And I'm like, oh, I love this. This is so sweet. And I like run into the bathroom and I pee for what feels like
minutes
2
and
minutes.
So
3?
like it's a very strong flow for a full minute. And then there's a bit of a pause and then you start talking. You say some more things and then
Joe, can you check me for text?
Yeah. It's a slow, and then it's just like,
and then I itch my butt crack.
I mean, I didn't catch that.
But that's what brings out the more pee. You itch the top of, or the side of your butt, or the top of your crack, and more pee will come out. Wait, you don't do this? You don't do this? Rach, no. Listen,
Who told you that?
I've just done it as long as I can remember. You're not done peeing. Guarantee. Itch. Relax your butt a little bit. Relax into it and itch. So your pelvic floor relaxes, and it just. Another stream will come out. Joe does it too. I've watched him do it.
Joe stands.
Yes, and he itches the side of his butt to relax a little more. I knew it. I was like, okay, I'm not the only one. Britt does it. My sister does it. Itch the top of your butt, and another flow will come flowing out.
It's this. Did you learn this?
Never learned it. Just did it, and have done it for the rest of my life.
You just naturally scratch your ass crack when you're peeing?
Just like a little tickle.
I am in shock.
Well, I'll give it a go.
In horror.
Give it a go. It's just, and you have to like let it feel good. There's something about it that it has to be like kind of relaxing. You're like, oh. Flow number 2.
You copy yourself a little feel.
Low key. And flow number 2 will come out. I would love to know if this happens to you guys.
You stroke your upper ass crack.
Or just even the side. Just give it a little tickle. Okay. Could be me, but could be everyone else. I know there's people going to be like, Jess, I do the same thing.
Well, good. I'm glad you're not alone. Okay. Anything else from your weekend? Anything other than just a full mental breakdown, or that's all you got?
Was all that was on the agenda.
I mean, fair enough. I shot a wedding this weekend with a videographer. I second shot with him. His name's Justin, and we shot a Serbian Orthodox wedding, which I'd done one before, but the one I'd done like 3 years ago, the groom wasn't Serbian, so it was like it wasn't full on. When I tell you everything was in Serbian, like we're in Cleveland, we're in Parma, right? Every single person spoke Serbian. The entire ceremony was in Serbian. All the speeches, except for 2, were in Serbian. Like all the announcing, everything, Serbian. I looked at Justin and I was like, how the fuck are you going to edit this film? You have no idea what anyone's going to say. He's going to have to like hire translation. It was so cool. It really is like so fun. Like I'm someone who like hates tradition at weddings, but like there's something about like deep cultural traditions where you're like, they're dancing, they're singing, they're
so fun.
The food and like
also learning about it, I think is really fun.
I mean, granted, I couldn't tell what anyone was saying.
Did all of them speak English though? Like if you were to, okay.
Oh, it was not hilarious, but it was very funny to me because they were like speaking Serbian and then they'd say words in English and they just sound like they're from Northeast Ohio with the hard A and like everything. I'm like, okay.
Oh, funny.
But it was really cool.
And you said there were 600
people.
That is crazy.
Absolutely. The cocktail hour was 2 hours.
Had to because not everyone's
they
gonna
had
get
to
served.
greet every single person as they came in because there's no hope to like there is no walking room. When I tell you like sardines, absolute sardines, and
which are disgusting by the way.
What?
Which are disgusting by the way. Remember we had that
Yeah, sardines. Joe likes sardines. Tomatoes. But they were the aisleway for like the entrances. I mean, people were just standing up. I was like, if I get one shot of them walking up in between the arms and the phones and the, oh my God.
Wow.
But cool. It was cool. And great names. Nevina was the bride's name.
Beautiful. Wow.
Everybody had just beautiful names.
Cool. That's fun. That's so different.
I'm into those stuff. And the Orthodox priests are cooler.
I know.
They let you get behind. They want you to get the angles. The traditional Catholic priests are assholes.
I'm sorry, but they have a stick up their ass.
Right.
It's like, come on. I'm here to do a job. So are you.
But I think Orthodox priests can get married. So I think they're a little bit chiller.
Because they're getting laid on the regular.
Don't quote me on that. I have not looked that up, but I'm pretty sure because I always see them with women, like at their tables.
I've done a few Jewish weddings and way cooler.
Yep.
They are so down to earth. They're shooting this shit with me.
Yeah.
Like, come on, get up here. Right. Man, you the real MVP.
Exactly. So I hate tradition, but some tradition is really cool to witness.
I think cultures outside our own and their tradition and learning about why it's important to them, I think is very interesting.
Like you could tell it's important to them.
Right.
Like I think
to the bride and the groom or groom, bride.
I think when we think about traditional weddings, it's just like people going through the motions and not really thinking about like what they're doing. They're just like, get married at this church, get the party bus, go to the party center, done. And it's like, if you're doing that because it's simple and you want to focus on other stuff, but sometimes people are just like, lack some flavor. I like a little bit of flavor.
Yeah. Okay, guys, keeping the tradition alive. Speaking of traditions, we're making this Tell Me Something Good, trying to make a little segment of it.
A little seggy.
Trying to make a little bit of it from here on out because you know what? After that mental breakdown, we can use something good.
We love to see it.
Yes. So we have someone who wrote into us, and I want to share it with you guys. She says, I had a huge story to send it in about my good thing, and it was too large to share through Insta message. I guess it's not important. I know you've already done your good things episode, but I just thought that one that is totally unrelated to my actual story I wanted to send in. I finally embraced my least favorite thing about my body, the fupa. After 2 kids, I've got one. And I'm finally comfortable not giving a shit and wearing the high-waisted jeans and tucked-in shirt. I know it won't be read, but I hope other people are sending in good things that'll make you smile, feel positive through your weekend. And I hope I'm not the only weirdo thinking about a good thing way too late. We love to embrace the FOOP, okay? We do know that the FUPA is there for a reason, to protect the ovaries. It serves a major purpose, okay? And not to mention that I would say 90% of the woman population have it.
When you sit down, where does your tummy fat go? If you have fat,
I just started to realize that everyone has one. And I just feel like the high-waisted just flatters it at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, why not accentuate your waist and feel comfortable with it? Like, it's there for a reason.
Yeah.
We all have it. Embrace the FOOP. And I am here for embrace the FOOP.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I feel like I'm always like embrace the FOOP. Like I've done that with pants, but something that like I struggle with is like in dresses or skirts or something. I don't know. I'm like, oh, it's like, but love the body that you have. Like I have, in my like worst of eating disorders and, lost 70 pounds in whatever amount of time. And the thinnest I ever was, I still had a fupa when I sat down. Like there's just, we tell ourselves that if we do XYZ, we'll have the perfect body and we'll finally be happy, but we're not. We never are. It is not about the destination. It is about loving yourself where you're at and proud of you. We love to see it.
I am proud of that. I love that.
Yeah.
Embrace the fupa. I just think we all have it. We're all self-conscious about it. Subconsciously.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's a thing that everyone's like, oh. I don't like when girls say when I'm photographing them. It's typically women that will do it and they're like, can you edit this out? I'm like, no, I like the body that you have.
Right.
It's just like, we hear it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
The moms are like, can you Photoshop this arm fat out of here? I'm like, no, I think you're fine just the way you are. You just got to keep embracing that like body positivity through people, just like even it's subtly. Like you don't need to sit down and have a conversation about it, but just like
something that one of my go-to lines is, I see no faults.
Yeah. Ooh, that's good.
I see no faults. Mm-hmm. And people will like laugh it off or whatever, but it's like, it's true. It's like the hardest thing when I'm photographing someone is when they tell me, like if I'm doing a boudoir session, a portrait session, they're like, I don't like this side of my face. I don't like this. I don't like this. So can you be aware? And I'm like, I look at you and I see a beautiful person. So I can't keep all of your insecurities in mind because they're yours and I can't carry them.
Yeah.
I can keep in mind like if you like a certain side of your face, but I'm not going to like, I can't see what you see. I can't see the hatred you have for yourself.
Yeah,
so
it's
I
not
can't.
Something I do see when I look at you. Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I had to say that to someone not too long ago. And I'm like, I looked at them. I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, just honestly, I was just like, I'm so sorry. I don't know what you're seeing because I don't
see that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what's cool about boudoir photography, though.
Right.
I think people are always very happy with the end result that they get, and they get to see how we see them or how someone else views them, and I think they're very flattered by it.
Yes.
It's an empowering experience if you have not done it, and it's for all genders. It doesn't matter who you are, so I think it's to keep that in mind.
Do it for you.
Yeah. Self-love sesh.
Yes. Okay. So next we have another DM before we get into the meat. And our meat this week is wedding related. So this DM was wedding related and I didn't want it to get lost. It says, hey guys, I'm looking for some advice. I'm just finishing up with my master's and I'm currently unemployed but looking for jobs. I live with my fiance who pays the majority of the bills. He wanted a big wedding and I didn't. I knew we couldn't afford it, but he wouldn't give it up. Everything's booked, our wedding's in a year, and now I don't know what to do. We have to take out a loan, but I also have student loan payments coming in addition to other bills. I've been punching numbers, and even with my salary, I don't think we can afford it. I'm getting beyond stressed, and it's taking the fun out of planning a wedding. I don't know what to do, so we don't fight about it. So there's like a variety of there's more to know about this situation, right? Like, what do your contracts say? What is this? Like, is there a way to get out? Or I think in the end, it's like if the money is always going to be an issue.
It's always a stressor.
It's always a stressor. It's always because I'm doing a small wedding, right? I'm doing 70 people. Truly, I believe the only way to cut costs at your wedding, the main way, is to cut people.
Cut the guests.
Because obviously if you're having a big wedding, I'm assuming you're having 200 people or more.
That means more food.
That means more food, more alcohol, bigger venue, it's all of that. And it's hard. It's a hard problem to solve when you've already paid your deposits. You don't want to lose money. You don't want to fight about it. You don't want to uninvite people. You don't, it's all of those things of like, not knowing what to do. I can give some like practical tips, I guess. Like one thing that Josh and I decided to do was have a later wedding. So like our cocktail hour isn't until 7. And it states on our invitation that it's like drinks and apps. So we're doing like appetizers and like light food. I don't know if you're even allowed to do that at your venue, like all these things determined, but that helped us keep the cost down of like doing like, a carving, like meat station, like heavier, like a full dinner. It's just kind of like serve yourself light apps. And that's helped keep some costs down. But really, you can look into your vendors. You can see like my videographer is truly, and we'll get into it on my full budget breakdown. It's almost half of the cost of my wedding. So it was just, that was a gift I gave myself because I didn't want to edit my own film. So I had to hire that, and it's expensive and it should be expensive. And I value what I do and I value what other people do. And that's just a situation. But he was willing to take a third payment after the wedding because
also you hired him within short notice.
Right. So he's just like, this is extra money.
Yeah. Typically brides, grooms, whoever is getting married will book out a year in advance. You were booking out months in advance. I think to come up with that amount of money, any vendor could understand like, hey, I understand what I'm asking for. I understand that's what I'm worth.
Yeah.
Due to the nature of how soon this is, like, let's just split it up. For like, I give my other clients this amount of time. Why would I not give that to you?
Yeah. And I think but what I feel overwhelmingly is the money is going to be worth it. So I'm going to find it and I'm not going to regret it. I'm going to find the money. I would take out a loan if I had to because the money isn't what is making me unexcited about the wedding. If a large wedding isn't what you want and you're not excited to have a large wedding, it's hard to spend money on something you're not excited for. Mm-hmm. And I think that might be some of the energy that I'm reading in that is like, I don't want to fight about this, but like you don't want the big wedding and you don't want to go into debt for a wedding you don't want. I would go into debt for this wedding because I want it. I want exactly what I want, and that's just how I feel about it.
Yeah.
But it is hard. It's hard to compromise. It's hard to, find a vision for a wedding that both people want. And I have been surprised. A lot of grooms like the bigger wedding. I've found that.
I wonder why that is.
I don't know. I think the party maybe
But I feel like the party's still alive. I mean, for bigger weddings, still about 25% dance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's like depending on who you invite.
Yeah.
But I am sorry that you're feeling stressed about the planning or you're just like not excited because that comes with anxieties around money.
Yeah.
Like that will just cloud this whole process for you. Right. And I feel bad about that. I mean, I would just encourage you to go back to like what I always say, like make a list of what's really important and, divvy it up that way, but understand like why you're getting married.
Right.
And really focus in on the purpose and what's really important about that event for you to be able to see through, the financial hardship or what this is going to put on you, but able to help kind of divvy it up or delegate where the money's going to go.
Yeah. And yeah, that's the thing I say, like a lot of times it's like, if you're planning something you're truly excited for, that's what I want to see it as like a vendor is, like
you would be willing to push to take out that loan. But if it's just causing this stress, I have no idea, but it could be something that you feel like is holding you back about it, you know?
Like I wouldn't be willing. So like, I think our budget for our wedding is like 19,000, 18,000 maybe. That's kind of what it's going to end up being, I think, just with like, because I'm putting in like, some people don't put in dress and stuff, but like my dress, his suit, our rings, like after the honeymoon, like all of that stuff.
I think everything.
Yeah. That's the whole thing.
When I think budget or I think like everything, nothing's off limits. If you're spending it for the wedding for that day, put it in.
That goes in. Yeah. So that's like what we're working with. And I'm trying to do that in 4 months, but now it's 7 weeks away, which is crazy. But, it's impossible to feel good about spending money when you're not excited to go to the event. So I would just try to think about the wedding in a way that makes you excited to go to it. And I would just hopefully you and your fiance have the mutual respect to be like, hey, I'm worried that I'm not going to enjoy this day. And hopefully he wants you to enjoy the day. Like, hopefully he's like, okay, let's think about this, and whether that's like you guys sharing your vows somewhere private and kind of doing an elopement. That way the pressure's off for the reception. That way, like, you don't give a shit about decorations. You don't give a shit about, all the other things. And you can just like have a party with your friends and do the reception thing. Do it that way. But I mean, You can also throw us some more deets and we can talk you through some more budget stuff. But the last line that you said is, I don't know what to do, so we don't fight about it. A fear of fighting. Jess, you can relate to this.
We're getting in deep for it.
Yeah.
Yes. I could definitely relate.
Yeah. You hate fighting. Mm-hmm. You hate disagreeing.
And I will not bring something up. But with the help of therapy and setting boundaries for myself, it's only going to create a bigger problem. And it's going to go down deep and it's going to create some resentment. And especially talk about money. Fucking talk about it.
Yeah.
Fucking talk about it. I'm telling you right now, it's always going to be a stressor. It's always going to be something that comes and goes in your life with your partner. So the sooner you guys talk comfortably about money, the better it's going to be for you in the long run.
Yes.
So just have these hard conversations. I know it sucks, but you're so capable of doing it. Mm-hmm. Just get it out there. And like, tell him, like, I don't like talking about our wedding because the stress of money. Yeah. And I don't want this to create a wedge in between us. And that's what I'm feeling. Boom. Point blank, period. Yeah. Cool. He knows how you're feeling. He knows you're stressed, but it's not about him. It doesn't have to be against him, but just say, hey, this is how I'm feeling about it. Right. What do you think? Like, I don't want to create this wedge.
A fight should not be, and I think it's hard when you're in a long-term relationship, and if you've been in bad relationships or you've had bad experiences, to like shift your way of thinking. But fighting isn't the end. It is the means to a longer relationship.
To strengthen
right.
it.
And it shouldn't, I hate the word fight because you build up this like yelling and maybe like distance and arguing, but like
it's just in a disagreement.
You can say like, I really don't want to argue about this, but I need us to discuss this seriously. And you can say your things passionately. You can cry. You're allowed to do these things because you should feel comfortable at your wedding. You should feel confident that your money is being spent in the way that you want it to be spent. And you should be able to go through all of these things. And fighting is not the end. It's part of the journey. And you have to be willing to get married to someone that you're going to fight with for the rest of your life.
Mic drop.
Done.
Boom. That was good, Rach.
Thanks.
The meat.
Finally. We have been gabbing for a while.
Gabbing.
The meat's always a loose 15 at the end, I feel like, lately.
And that's fine because this is, I mean, we could get into it or we could keep it loose, but I feel like we hit some pretty important topics in regards to weddings, which I feel like is kind of all relative with this.
Yes.
So, guys, we're going into it. Beat the Meat is about parents.
Yes.
Parents and weddings and how those drive. How do we set boundaries? What's it like? And we'll get into it. We're giving you some top tip of the dicks. We're going to lay out some scenarios as people who do weddings for a living.
See these dynamics play out every single.
We see it. We know it. Okay. Yeah. And so we're kind of here to just give some unsolicited, semi-solicited advice.
Okay.
About all of that. So I don't know who wants to go first, right?
Why don't you start us off, Jess?
Leading us off. Okay, I feel like you're going to touch on this one, but I feel like first and foremost, let's just say you give them a task. You have to hand out responsibility to them. Your parents are your parents, guys. They love you. You have to remember that too. Like, they love you and they want to help you.
Yeah.
Most parents. You know what I'm saying? Guys, you don't choose your family. And I'm not saying everyone's parents are super involved. It doesn't matter their involvement, but most parents just want something to do to feel like they're not a lousy parent.
Yeah. And I think it's up to you to kind of read that. Like, every parent wants, I think not every parent, but in this situation, I think the majority of what we're talking about are parents that are involved, want to be involved, might be too involved, might be annoying. Those are the kind of parent dynamics that I think we see the most.
Yes.
Because it's like active parents or absent parents, I feel like are the things that we see.
But even both of them, like active or absent, they still want to be over involved.
Yeah.
You know?
It's weird.
it is weird. And I don't know I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. I can't really dive into the dynamics of it all, but it's just what we see.
Yeah.
And
I've said this story before, but one of the first weddings Jess shot with me, we were out and the bride had like, she didn't have a bridal party. It was just like an intimate like backyard thing. And she had disclosed to me that like she had been like estranged from her mom for a couple years, but she felt kind of like coming up to the wedding. She's like, okay, maybe I wanted to extend the invitation. Like we hadn't talked. They got lunch. She was like, okay, like you can come. Her mother then like came into the house that she was getting ready at. Do you remember this?
Yes. Okay. I was thinking one wedding and okay. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, the first wedding I think you ever shot with me. No, second wedding you ever shot with me. The mom didn't show up. You got a lot of mom shit your first year.
Yeah.
Weird mom shit. The mom didn't show up.
That's right.
And then the second year, third year, whatever, this one I'm talking about, the mom who like didn't have a strong relationship with her daughter, the bride, tried to like get her in her wedding dress, tried to like push herself into that role, like force herself into this like loving mother role.
I've seen this a lot.
And the bride looked at me like a deer in the headlights, like, get her out of here. Like, help, 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 help. And I just was like, we're actually good here. I think we need you down by the tent. Leave.
That is
and
like
me and you got her in her dress.
Yeah. And that's another thing I have written down is like, you're in control. You're in control. So you say the word. Also, we don't know your family dynamic. Yes, we can pick up context clues. Yes, we are at this point pros at reading people. We'll know. But without your word or without that look, deer in headlights look, we don't know where to act. But I promise to you that if you give us that look, like get her out of here, we will absolutely give her a task to do.
Yeah.
The most meaningless or, you know, something to get her to do. We're going to do it. But just know that you're in control of the whole day, and whatever you say goes, whatever boundary you're going to set, everyone's going to follow suit. So just remember that. But back to that, give them responsibility, make them feel valued and involved. That's what I have. Giving them a specific task and making them feel like they're better at it than you are, or, you know, just being like, oh, I don't really, just delegate like any job, you know, if there's something you don't want to do, give it to them to get it off your chest. It
like
can only help.
Bridal shower, rehearsal dinner. Those are big tasks that some people can pass off. Like you also have to know, do you want your parent around you while you're getting ready? Like look at your relationship for what it is and not what you want it to be, because I've seen a lot of brides like invite their moms to get ready. And it's just this like bickering, like
terrible.
Mom is helicoptering
and being critical, and the bride's like sweating and just not feeling confident, which is like not what you want.
Right.
This happens a lot. And you know what I suggest when they tell me the dynamic beforehand? I'm like, hey, let's get mom out of the room. Like before the wedding, I'm like, hey, let's just do a first look with mom so that mom's out of the room. She knows she has her moment with you, but it's not while you're getting ready.
Yeah.
And it's not when you're feeling the most critical about yourself. Like, let's just have this be like a nice moment. And then your mom feels just as important because she's getting this big reveal of you. I feel like that's a nice compromise, or, you know, something you could choose to involve your mom in, but not in the getting ready process.
Yeah. Cause hey, moms
we know
all our body dysmorphia comes from someplace. And I'll tell you what.
Oh gosh. The Atkins diet will do me in.
I wanted to touch on kind of mother of the bride versus mother of the groom dynamics.
Or bride, groom.
Yes. Yeah. Mothers in general. But I think speaking of in tradition, right? It's like if we're talking about straight relationships, right? The mother of the groom, there can be some weird awkwardness.
What is it about?
Some of those mother-son dances. Mother-son dances I've seen.
Are they in love?
I've
Should
seen
they
get
have gotten married?
Slightly sexual. like the gripping of the neck and the I've seen and I've seen
You're not lying.
Your pelvises are too close to each other.
Your crotches are touching,
Your
and
crotches
that's
are touching.
Problematic.
I'm just saying.
I've seen it.
I don't believe in everything Freud said, but I don't think he was off base 100%.
I think
Do all
nail on the head.
the all boys want to fuck their moms? I don't know.
They don't
But-
consciously want to. I think the underlying is like they're going to find a woman who reminds.
And one of my
resembles.
psychoanalysis of mother-son relationships in general is that there are some mothers who try to raise their sons to be the husband that they don't have. And it is so fucking awkward to witness.
Yikes.
Like, it's awkward to witness the like cold relationship that the mother of the groom has with her husband, like the groom's parents. And then just like this emotional, like suffocating, weird vibes between the groom and his mom.
Yeah.
I can't.
Mm-hmm.
And how many moms have you seen wearing off-white or light pink or light beige? And you're like,
I never put that together.
yeah. I've always wondered why Mother of the Groom is,
Mother of
they
the Groom
always
is-
wear light beige.
They're so intense. They're much more intense than the mother of the bride in a straight wedding.
emotionally intense. I think mothers
All
of
things.
brides can be intense in like making everything perfect.
Perfect.
It's more about the wedding.
Yeah, it's
right?
more about the event,
Yeah.
the logistics of the function
Yes.
of the gathering. But that is a topic I would love to deep dive on.
Mother-son relationships
Mother
are.
son problematic, Loki. Not
Yeah.
all, but some weddings.
Hey,
are
I'll call it
just-
out with my friends. I'm like, hey, this is awkward. Stop kissing your son on the mouth. Like, getting too old.
Oh my gosh!
I say that as like my family are mouth kissers, but you know.
Yeah, so we do like a
Yeah.
like we just swivel our mouth. We're like we're just gonna put our faces together, but move our lips outward.
Fair
Yikes.
enough.
I feel like this is something important to note,
Okay.
Rach, as we talk about parents, and let's talk about overbearing parents.
Okay.
Involvement in a wedding.
Yeah.
And I just want to say when our parents got married, it was a whole different ball game. And I think talking to them about the different generations and how weddings now look really different
Right.
than weddings back then. Like they were never pushing the envelope, but we are.
Right. A wedding in our parents' generation, there was not always dinner. Like a lot of weddings were church ceremony
And a hall.
in a hall for cake and coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. Or there was like the full blown, like I think Italian weddings have been big forever.
Mm-hmm.
And like those functions, which were like about feeding 400 people of your closest friends and family.
Yeah.
Which is loose because, I mean, big weddings.
Right. And I feel that that's like their only scope, you know, of what wedding should be. And they want things like the way they had it and they want things aligned with what they had. And I think having that conversation of explaining like what weddings are and going back to why it matters that you want something aligned with who you two are as
Yeah.
individuals is very important to sit down and talk to your parents about. Like, hey, mutual respect here. I respect what you're saying and what you want for us, but I think for me and so, this is more aligned with who we are as people,
Yeah.
and the purpose of us coming together
Mhm.
is going to make more sense for everybody.
Right.
So moving forward with that, this is how I want my wedding. And that kind of like curves them a little bit. Like, okay, like I hear you out. I'm not going to fight you on getting married at
Mhm.
the same hall I got married at. I feel like
Right.
it's just like they just don't know, you know?
I think, well, what's hard is it's not until you have like these big life things happen that you're like, shit, I need some boundaries. And I've never set a boundary with my mom in my life.
Right.
And so it's like you're navigating how to do that around something that's very important to you and your parent.
Mm-hmm.
And so that can be a very daunting task,
Yes.
but very important. And so I say like all the time, like the more boundaries you set, the better. Like I had a bride who was worried about her sisters and her mom on her wedding day, like very worried. She's like, we all are just so intense. She's like, and I just don't want that. And I was like, well, don't wait for the week before your wedding to say that. I was like, you have, they had like a year and a half before their wedding at the time we're talking. I was like, start setting the expectations for how you want your day to feel right now. Start saying like, oh, I'm just looking forward to being a really relaxed day. Like, I'm really looking forward. Like, I trust my photographer. Like, I just know, like, I don't have to worry. Like, blah, 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 blah. And just act confidently in your choices. But I think an important piece to this that we need to play with overbearing parents is the money card.
Yes, I think that's a huge component of it all, right? It's how much they're contributing and what control that gives them over your wedding. And that is a conversation about boundaries.
Right. Because
100%.
Maybe you want a big wedding and you need their finances to do that. You have to ask yourself at what cost?
Yes.
Like when I've had, wealthy parents paying for their children's wedding and they decide what they wear. They decide the venue. They decide the food. And there are some couples that are like, whatever, we don't care. Some couples are just like, my mom's doing it. And I'm like, if you like that, that's fine. But my biggest red flag, an inquiry I just straight up don't respond to, is when moms reach out. Mm-hmm. It's a ghost from me. I don't do that often, but I'm like, I don't even need to entertain this dynamic for 1 second, because if a parent doesn't trust their child to plan their own wedding, then they don't respect you enough as an adult. Like, that's just how I see it. Like, if your mom doesn't trust you to reach out to your own vendors, like, and I'm different because like, I think my relationship with my mom is like, I mean, granted, I'm seeing her through 2 weddings, but my mom, I like my mom, and she's involved and she loves event planning. She would never come to a consult with me. I would never want her there. And it's so weird when you go into a consult and you're meeting someone at a coffee shop and them and their mom are sitting there and you're like, okay. And then you have
the dynamic.
Yes. You can't be truly yourself around your parent. And if you can, that's rare. But
but I think when it comes, like, I'm here to learn about you and your partner and who you guys are as people. What's your inside jokes? What are your quirks? And it's like, I don't know if you're going to honestly speak about that stuff in front of your parents. And that's what I'm there to do. Like, that's how I'm going to be able to do my best work. And if I'm not there to get to know your mom, I'm going to get to know her immediately as soon as I show up at the wedding. I guarantee it. She's going to come and introduce myself. And I love that. And I refer to her as mom the whole day. I'm like, Mom, get over here. That's the relationship between me and her is not as important as me and you guys on your day. And I feel like it's just going back to the purpose. And this is just what I'm reading in The Art of Gathering by Priya Parker. I'm about to reference it a whole bunch in this whole episode because I feel like it's really important, but it's just aligning the purpose of the event to make it the most meaningful for everybody involved. So I think when that purpose is set, that creates the connection and the best experience overall for everybody involved in the event. So that's my spiel.
Yeah. I just touched on like how my mom was in my first wedding versus how she is now. I think like it's hard because like in hindsight, it's, 2020, whatever they say, which is weird to say 2020 now, knowing what 2020 was.
That was what?
Hindsight is 2020, like meaning vision, but like 2020 holds it. Never mind. Numerical. You know what I mean?
I got it.
Oh, I haven't said 2020, not in that context before. Weird. The apocalypse year.
It was the apocalypse year.
At my first wedding, my mom and I fought constantly about guest list was huge because I didn't want a big wedding, and she did. I mean, that's point blank.
Do we find this to be the most common?
I think guest list is a huge thing that people fight over. But like I'm inviting like cousins, like there were only like I think 180 people were invited to my first wedding, 160 came. I just was like, I don't know these people. like, not that I don't like carry like love for them, not that I've not met them, but it's like they couldn't tell you a single personal thing about me. And but in order to like not fight, I folded about a lot of things. There were certain things I didn't fold on, but it was this weird thing. And at my second wedding, I don't know if it's, I'm not going to put these words in her. I don't know if it's like embarrassment of like, this is my daughter's second wedding. Like, no one really needs to come. I don't think that's how she feels, because I know it's going to be a good time.
It's just like first wedding jitters versus perspective on life.
Right. Like, what really matters. And I think my mom respects me a whole lot. Like, I'm an adult now. I was 21 years old planning my first wedding. So like, that is a infant, basically. Yeah,
there's experience
first had. Truly. And I think I also went into it because I was on, my guard was up all the fucking way on my first wedding. I was like, I'm only letting people in so far. For this wedding, I asked my mom, like, what type of dress do you see me in? What are your hopes? What do you want? Because we had that like respect that like I knew, she knew I wasn't going to let her do anything that I wasn't comfortable with. But I knew that I wanted her more involved. Like, I wanted to feel my mom more at my wedding than I did at the first one. Like, she brought her to our food tasting, and I wanted her opinion on things that like mattered to her. Like, my mom is a host. She loves that stuff. I'm not so much a host. Like, I'm excited about marrying Josh, taking pics, looking hot, dancing. These are my priorities at my wedding. And it is this weird thing of like, throughout time, people change. And I think it's hard to like establish boundaries earlier. But even if you're not married, not engaged, and one day that you want to be those things, like, can't hurt to start implementing some boundaries early. Start establishing your relationship with your parents off of respect and trying to understand why they are the way they are, because it's hard out here.
It's hard out here for a tramp.
It is.
But I think you understand your parents as you get older. Yeah. And you have a lot more understanding for them as you get older rather than when you were younger, Rach. Yeah. So I think that is a testament to being young and being married and having that relationship with your mom as you have now, and wanting her more involved. And I love that.
And even my dad, like, I was very guarded over our guest list the first time. This time I just knew I wasn't inviting the extendeds, right? So I immediately cut things off. I guess, but my dad asked me for this wedding if he could invite some of his like colleagues, and I was like, my dad wants people to see me get married. It was this like honor, like, that I thought of like my dad's closest friends and like people he works with and sees all the time. He wanted them to see me get married, and he's like, so can we invite these? It's like 8 people. And I was like, yeah. And I also see them as kind of like emotional support people for my dad, like a group of people my dad can go talk to and feel comfortable, which I also think is important.
Think about the purpose of a wedding and of the event as a whole is like to get people together, to spend time, to which otherwise you wouldn't. So I think, devil's advocate for your parents being overbearing and trying to invite people, it's like they don't get to see them as much. So when they input like, I would like to spend time with them that I can't get with them otherwise.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
People do treat weddings like family reunions.
Right. And that could be a good thing and a bad thing. Yeah. And that's up to the people getting married. But I'm just saying, as like a devil's advocate, I think when it comes down to
logical. It's a logical thing that they're thinking of, like, this is when our family sees each other.
But it's also up to you to be like, hey, if I don't know their name and you have to introduce me, that's a no for me.
Yeah.
Dog. I'm going to have to pass. But that's up to you to decide. But if your budget is endless and you want all the people, go for it. But I'm just saying, like, I think there's a point of understanding where they're wanting to show you off, to have a moment of pride in their child. So just a devil's advocate.
Devil's avocado.
Yeah. Whew. Okay. Where were we? We kind of
went off. I think we can start. Do you have another?
No, I think I touched on them all in like the meat, like in the ebbs and flows. I did say something about, I think this is a good tip, but I think planning time for your parents to get to know each other, if this is something that you feel is providing some anxiety around your parents.
You mean like the couple's parents?
The couple's parents. So parents on each side.
Yeah.
To get to know each other outside of wedding stuff, I think was important. That might cause some anxiety for your parents of like how to act and be helpful and be doing the most. And I think just creating a relationship with them sooner other than wedding stuff, I think is important. It's something I wish I did more. But also if like you don't want your parents involved.
I see.
Yeah, but it's two ends of the spectrum is what I'm saying. It's like
our moms met, which is great, but it's just like our parents are very different and believe very different things fundamentally about the world. And my dad can't go 30 seconds without mentioning how much he hates Republicans. Mm-hmm. So I just, in general, I'm like, let's leave it to that one day where I hope no one feels the need to talk about politics.
Yeah. That's could be your rule.
Yeah.
You could put it out there. You create a purpose, you create a rule.
Yeah. No mentioning of politics.
It doesn't serve the purpose of the day, so we shouldn't be doing it.
Right. But yeah, so I've avoided them meeting at all costs and
it's two ends of the spectrum of that. I think if it's something your parents have mentioned,
yeah,
and also like parents of divorced families, I understand that that's like 2, 3, 4 different occasions of meeting, and I know that could be tricky, but it's just something to keep in mind if you feel like if that's something that your parents are badgering you about or that's an anxiety for you, go ahead and just
find some excuses to like have everybody meet, even with stuff that's not about the wedding, just like birthday dinner or like just find excuses for people to get together. That's that's not just about the wedding. That's not just venue shopping. That's not just tastings. That's not just like create an organic experience because I mean, realistically, like these people will be grandparenting together if you guys want to have kids, you know, like it could be the start of like a really great relationship and support system. Like what's really like my grandma's best friend is my uncle's mother-in-law so my grandma has 2 kids, Sherry and Scott. Scott's wife, Debbie, her mom and my grandma are BFFs.
Yeah.
And they're just like in-laws and it's great.
You want to build that relationship, you know, as soon as you can.
I agree. Okay, so I know we've mentioned the like absent parent dynamic, but I want us to like touch on that more because you are not alone. You are not alone in wanting your parents to be involved, and maybe your parents just aren't reliable. Maybe they aren't supportive. You know, maybe they don't want to come. You know, how many same-sex weddings have we seen? Like I have a same-sex couple this year, 2 women, and the bride's entire family is not coming. The entire family, except for her sister, will not be. One sister.
That is
and she has multiple siblings. And we want to know that, like, we see you and we know that, like, this exists, and it's like honestly heartbreaking. Mm-hmm. And I think it's hard to, whether we like it or not, weddings have had a cultural impact on us. We think about our weddings growing up. We think about what it will be like. And when the people that you love the most and that you want to love you the most don't show up for you in that way on one of your most looked forward to days, it can be
really hard.
And I can't really relate on my end to not having supportive parents. But I can just say that therapy can help.
And lean on the people who you feel you can lean on on that day. They cannot replace them. It's not what I'm saying, but they can step up if they know that that's the responsibility or what you're looking for.
Yeah.
The absence is felt, you know, even if it's a parent that passed away, a parent that's choosing not to show up, whatever it may be, the absence is felt, and people have a really good way of rising to the occasion.
Yeah.
So lean on the people who you call family.
Yeah.
And
you'll know before you even, when you start planning your wedding, how involved or distant your family might be, whether that's your mom, your dad, whoever. So I know that a lot of weddings are surrounded by tradition, first looks with dads walking down the aisle, like all this stuff. And I think, and even what I'm doing with having a non-traditional wedding is like, get excited about what you're doing. Like, I love my dad. My dad is one of my most treasured people in my life. And I'm walking down the aisle alone. And I'm visualizing that. I'm excited for it. And originally Josh and I were going to walk down the aisle together, but he said, he's like, I just think I really want that memory of me seeing you walk down the aisle. And, I'm making the choice to walk down alone. I could walk down with my dad. I could walk down with my mom. I could walk down with my sister. I have so many people that love me and support me. But in this stage, it's like, I am excited to stand on my own and walk into this marriage knowing that I can stand on my own. And I love the support that symbolically brings, right? Of a parent or a loved one, brother, whatever, walking you down. But at this time, it's like, I'm going to walk down the aisle. I'm going to hug my parents tightly. And then I'm going to go get married to my best friend. And that's the vision. And I think it's like getting excited about breaking the mold, whether you have to break the mold because people aren't showing up or whether you want to.
Right.
And I think it's trying to just like turn things and spin things to like be a day that's about you. And I hate that means for so many people that, they're not having the traditions they wish they could have. But don't compare yourself to what other people are doing. Don't compare yourself to your best friend who, didn't grow up in your situation and with your stuff. Like,
right.
It's hard. Like Josh and I Josh has talked about like his, not in detail, but like his family dynamic is very different to mine in a lot of different ways. And that can be hard for him to see me like just have what is an endless bucket of support and love.
Yeah.
But I mean, we just know now that like he's in that family now, and it's hard. Weddings bring up a lot.
Yeah. And I feel like just understanding that everyone there is to honor you too and your union and what that represents, and that those people played a part in that. Like, I think that's important to understand too. It's like, it doesn't matter who those people are to you. It doesn't matter if they're family, friends, the guy you met at the grocery store. If they played a part, they know that they're there. And it doesn't matter like what dynamic that they are. If like you can call them family or people that helped you bring you there to where you're at.
Right.
Yeah.
But in the end, this is the day that should reflect the priorities and values of you and your partner. And we hope that your parents respect that, understand that. And overwhelmingly, I think our hope is that your families know you. I think that can be hard if you might have a dynamic with your parents, grandparents, whatever, and they don't really know who you are. They don't have a full scope of like that person. But what a better way to like show people more about yourself than to have a wedding that's all about you.
Exactly.
And you and Joe did a great job of that, of like just like the little touches of like music and like your guest book and all these things of like, this is who we are and this is what our priorities are and what we love. And take time to think about that and to walk into marriage celebrating it accurately to who you are.
Right. And just putting you in union with a person the way you want it. We say that a lot, but I feel like we could say it a million times just to nail it in about choosing your day to value and honor you and you two only as individual people building a life together.
Thumbs up.
Double thumbs up.
We're proud of you. This is a hard thing. Honor yourself through the hard things. Planning weddings fucking work.
Yeah. It's really daunting at times and hard and more work than you'll do for a lot of things because it matters. And that's cool. So you're capable. You're capable of doing it, and just keep your priorities and values in your heart as you plan. What a good app.
I hope so. I hope this is logistically helpful for some people.
Yeah, we really went in deep a little bit.
Yeah.
But more so than fun. But I guess
I stand by my Freudian slips of the mothers and sons. I stand by it.
I can attest.
Hey,
I can attest.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well,
we'll see you guys next week, I guess.
Next week. We'll have something cooked up for you.
Cooking up.
We're cooking it up now. Cooking it up, cooking it down. Whatever.
Right.
This is for Better and Worse Podcast. I'm Jess.
I'm Rach.
And we out of here.